Linda Carter is finally breaking her silence about what really happened on set. The stalking, the threats, and the powerful man who almost destroyed her. From secret addictions to Hollywood's darkest cover-ups, this is the story she was too afraid to tell. Until now. Linda Carter's journey began in Phoenix, Arizona, where she was born on July 24, 1951. She was the youngest of 3 children in a family with deep cultural roots. Her father had English and Scots-Irish ancestry, while her mother was of Mexican, Spanish, and French descent. Even though Linda never spoke Spanish fluently, she understood it well and took great pride in her heritage. Her childhood took a turn when her parents divorced. She was only 10 years old when her mother, Juanita, took on the responsibility of supporting the family by working in the telephone industry. Watching her mother's strength shape the way Linda saw the world. It taught her resilience. It showed her the power of perseverance. But even in difficult times, Linda had something that made her stand out. She had a love for performing. At just 5 years old, she appeared on Lou King's Talent Show, a local television program in Phoenix. That moment sparked something inside her. She didn't just like being on stage, she belonged there. Around the same time, she started training in ballet. She spent the next 10 years at the School Ballet of Phoenix, where she studied under an instructor from the Royal British School of Ballet. By the time she reached high school, music had become her new passion. She joined a band called Just Us, which had an unusual mix of instruments, including a marimba and a conga drum. Later, she became part of another band, The Relatives, alongside her cousins and actor Gary Berghoff, who played the drums. When she was 17, the group booked a performance at the Sahara Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. She was too young to be there, so she had to sneak in through the kitchen just to get on stage. Linda attended Arcadia High School in Phoenix and later enrolled at Arizona State University. She studied classical dance and drama and was voted most talented by her classmates. But her passion for music was stronger than her desire to stay in school. In 1970, she left college and joined the Garfin Gathering, a band that performed in Nevada's casino lounges. Their first gig was in San Francisco at a newly opened hotel. The building wasn't even finished. There were no proper sidewalks, and they ended up performing for hotel staff in a parking garage. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. After 2 years on the road, Linda felt the need for something new. She returned to Arizona in 1972, unsure of what was next. She had spent years chasing music, but she was about to step into a world she had never imagined. Back in Phoenix, her striking looks caught the attention of modeling agencies. She was 5 feet 9 inches, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. She quickly signed with a local agency and began competing in beauty pageants. What started as a side opportunity turned into something much bigger. Within months, she won the title of Miss Arizona USA. That victory took her to the Miss World USA competition. On September 1st, 1972, in Hampton, Virginia, Linda Carter was crowned Miss World USA. She stood out among 45 contestants with her confidence and elegance. Winning that title meant she would represent the United States at the Miss World pageant in London at Royal Albert Hall. Competing against 53 international delegates, she made it into the top 15. It was a moment that changed everything. A year later, she became Miss USA in 1973. Winning that title wasn't just about wearing a sash and smiling for cameras. It gave her the confidence to chase bigger dreams. Before pageants, Carter had been singing in lounges, performing night after night with no real path forward. Miss USA opened new doors, allowing her to leave that life behind and study acting in New York. She trained under top teachers like Stella Adler, learning how to bring characters to life. More importantly, she gained the self-assurance she needed to step into Hollywood, a place where many newcomers struggled to find their place. Moving to Los Angeles was the next big step, but the journey wasn't easy. She took acting lessons and started auditioning, hoping to land a role that would get her noticed. In 1974, she got her first television appearance in Nakia, a crime drama. More small roles followed in shows like Starsky and Hutch and Koss. These parts weren't groundbreaking, but they were important. They gave her experience, helped her build connections, and kept her dream alive. By 1975, things weren't looking good. Her savings from her singing career had nearly run out. She had only $25 left in her bank account and was thinking about going back to Arizona. Then, just as she was about to give up, everything changed. Her manager called with news that she had been cast as Wonder Woman. The role had originally gone to Joanna Cassidy, but when the producers decided to make a change, Carter got her chance. It was perfect timing. She had been ready to walk away, and now she she had the opportunity of a lifetime. Before Wonder Woman, Carter had also starred in Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, 1976, playing Bobby Joe Baker. The film wasn't a major success, but it gave her valuable on-screen experience. More importantly, it prepared her for what came next. Playing Diana Prince and her superhero alter ego required more than just looking the part. Carter brought something deeper to the character. She had the physicality, but she also had warmth, charm, and a strong presence that made her version of Wonder Woman unforgettable. The competition for the role had been intense. Actresses like Farrah Fawcett and Jacqueline Smith were also considered, but Carter stood out. She had the beauty and strength the producers wanted, but she also had something extra, an effortless grace that made Wonder Woman feel real. When the producers warned her that some women might envy her for playing a character focused on beauty, she had a simple answer. "I want women to want to be me, or be my best friend," she said. To her, Wonder Woman wasn't just about looking good in a costume. She was about strength, confidence, and empowerment. When Wonder Woman premiered in 1975, it was an instant success. It ran from 1975 to 1979 with 3 seasons and 60 episodes. The story started in World War II, where Wonder Woman fought Nazis and defended justice. Then it jumped forward to the 1970s, where she faced modern threats like espionage and terrorism. This shift didn't just change the time period, it gave the show new energy, letting it explore both classic heroism and contemporary challenges. Linda Carter made Wonder Woman unforgettable. She didn't just play a superhero, she gave the character warmth, intelligence, and strength. The first season focused on patriotism and fighting evil in a time of war. But when the story moved to the present day, it adapted. It brought in new themes, reflecting a world that was changing. Wonder Woman wasn't just stopping criminals, she was standing for justice in a way that felt real. Carter also went beyond acting. She performed many of her own stunts, something almost unheard of for female stars at the time. One of the most dangerous moments came in the season 2 episode Anschluss 77. She had to hang from a helicopter, flying 50 feet in the air. When the stunt double didn't look enough like her, she made a bold decision. She would do it herself. There were no safety harnesses, no nets, nothing to catch her if something went wrong. The network executives panicked, but Carter was determined. She later said the experience was thrilling, calling it one of the best parts of playing Wonder Woman. But action wasn't the only thing that made this version of Wonder Woman stand out. Carter refused to let the character become just a pretty face. She wanted her to be a role model. She made sure Wonder Woman wasn't just strong, but also kind, wise, and compassionate. She wanted women to see her as someone they could admire, not just someone to look at. That balance made Wonder Woman different from other superheroes. As Diana Prince, she was a sharp and capable agent who had to prove herself in a world run by men. As Wonder Woman, she was unstoppable. Both sides of her character mattered. The show arrived at the perfect time. The women's liberation movement was gaining strength in the late 1970s. Female heroes were rare on television. Wonder Woman changed that. She became a symbol of power and independence. Even before the show aired, Gloria Steinem had already put Wonder Woman on the cover of the first issue of Ms. Magazine in 1972. That moment showed how important she was, not just in comics, but in culture. The series built on that. It didn't just show Wonder Woman fighting bad guys, it made statements about equality, self-reliance, and the strength of women. After Wonder Woman ended in 1979, Linda Carter could have stayed in the shadow of her most famous role. Instead, she built a career that proved she was much more than just a superhero on screen. She stepped into the music world almost immediately, hosting a series of TV specials that let her show off her singing talent. Linda Carter's Special aired in 1980, followed by Encore later that year. In 1981, Celebration earned an Emmy nomination for its art direction, and in 1982, Street Life continued the trend. These specials blended music, dance, and celebrity appearances, giving Carter a chance to prove she had more to offer than just action scenes and stunts. Even as she explored music, she kept one foot in acting. She appeared appeared on The Muppet Show in 1980 in a playful episode where the Muppets mistook her for the real Wonder Woman. The humor made it clear she wasn't afraid to have fun with her superhero past, but she also wanted to prove she could handle more serious roles. In 1983, she took on the challenge of playing Rita Hayworth in Rita Hayworth, the Love Goddess, a TV movie about the Hollywood legend's rise to fame and personal struggles. Carter trained in tap and Spanish-style dance to prepare for the role, and even dyed her hair to match Hayworth's signature look. The film received mixed reviews, with some critics saying it didn't dive deep enough into the darker parts of Hayworth's life. But it was still an important moment in Carter's career, showing she was willing to take on complex characters. In 1984, she teamed up with Lonnie Anderson for Partners in Crime, a crime series with a unique twist. Carter played Carol Stanwyck, a high-class New York photographer, while Anderson played Sidney Kovac, a musician from a rougher background. The two women had nothing in common except for one thing. They had both been married to the same man. After his murder, they inherited his detective agency and had to work together to solve crimes. The show had a mix of action, mystery, and humor, but it struggled to find an audience. It lasted just 13 episodes before being canceled. Even though it was short-lived, it gave Carter another chance to step into a different kind of role. By the late 1980s, she was ready to try something completely new. In Mike Hammer, Murder Takes All, 1989, she played Helen Durant, a wealthy woman with a dangerous secret. The film, based on Mickey Spillane's famous detective character, gave Carter a rare chance to play a villain. She starred alongside Stacy Keach as Mike Hammer and a young Jim Carrey in one of his early roles. The movie didn't become a major hit, but it showed Carter wasn't afraid to break away from her heroic image. Through all of this, music remained a big part of her life. Her debut album, Portrait, came out in 1978, while Wonder Woman was still on the air. It featured a mix of original songs and covers, including Billy Joel's She's Always a Woman. Two of her songs were even featured in an episode of Wonder Woman. But her music career didn't stop there. In 2009, she released At Last, a jazz album that reached number 10 on Billboard's Jazz Albums chart. In 2011, she followed with Crazy Little Things, a mix of pop, country, and blues. She even wrote and performed 5 original songs for the video game Fallout 4 in 2015, adding a unique musical touch to the game's world. Even now, Carter continues to perform with her all-star band, proving she is more than just an actress from a classic TV show. While she will always be remembered as Wonder Woman, her career after the series tells a bigger story. Moreover, Linda Carter's life has been shaped by love, loss, and the choices that defined her along the way. Her first marriage seemed like a dream at first. In 1977, at just 25 years old, she married Ron Samuels, a Hollywood producer and her talent agent. At the time, she was at the height of her Wonder Woman fame, but what looked like a perfect match from the outside turned out to be a mistake she later regretted. She admitted that she had married for the wrong reasons. In her words, "He was a lot older, and I was just stupid." Samuels managed her career and had control over many of her professional decisions. She let him take charge, trusting that he knew what was best. Over time, that imbalance created tension. She felt trapped, not just in her marriage, but also in her career. Hollywood kept typecasting her as Wonder Woman, making it difficult for her to move forward. Between professional struggles and a failing marriage, she realized something had to change. In 1982, after 5 years, she filed for divorce. It was a turning point, a decision that allowed her to take back control of her life. 2 years later, everything changed. In 1984, she married Robert Altman, an attorney from Washington, D.C. This time, it felt different. They connected on a deeper level, and their relationship was built on mutual respect. Years later, when Altman faced fraud charges in his banking career, Carter never wavered in her belief that he was innocent. He was eventually acquitted, but the experience tested them both. Instead of breaking under pressure, they grew stronger. They built a life together outside of Hollywood, choosing to move to Potomac, Maryland. Carter stepped back from acting to focus on raising their 2 children, James and Jessica. She had once been a Hollywood icon, but now she was a mother first. She wanted her children to have a normal life, away from the pressures of fame. In their home, intelligence and curiosity mattered more than celebrity. Her children followed their father's path into law, but also inherited her love for music. Jessica later chose a career in music after earning a law degree, performing alongside her mother at events like the Kennedy Center. Carter always believed that walking away from Hollywood for her family was the right decision. decision. Fame had given her recognition, but her family had given her meaning. Then, in 2021, the life she had built for nearly 4 decades changed forever. Altman passed away from myelofibrosis, a rare form of leukemia. Carter lost not just her husband, but her best friend. She later admitted that she cried multiple times a day after his death. She had spent almost 37 years by his side, and now she had to figure out who she was without him. Music became her way of coping. She poured her grief into songwriting, releasing Human and Divine as a tribute to the love they had shared. The song was about loss, but it was also about gratitude for the time they had together. She also turned her pain into action, creating a fund for myelofibrosis research to help others affected by the disease. Even after years of mourning, she still speaks openly about her grief. Some days are harder than others, but she continues moving forward. Through music, philanthropy, and the love of her children, she is finding her way. Linda Carter didn't just play a hero on TV, she became one in real life. For years, she has been a strong supporter of LGBTQ+ rights. She served as Grand Marshal at Pride parades in Phoenix and Washington, D.C. But her support goes far beyond public events. She has used her voice to push for real change. She's encouraged donations to LGBTQ+ organizations and defended the community against discrimination. During Pride Month in 2022, she made headlines when she called Wonder Woman a queer icon. She shared how many fans told her the character gave them strength when they felt alone. Some people pushed back, but Carter didn't hold back either. When anti-trans rhetoric flooded social media, she responded with a simple but powerful message. Trans women are Wonder Women. End of story. Her support became even more important as debates over transgender rights intensified. When J.K. Rowling made controversial comments about gender identity, Carter spoke out. She defended trans individuals and called out those who blamed them for problems affecting women's rights. She made it clear, equality means equality for everyone. Her activism doesn't stop there. She has been a dedicated advocate for breast cancer awareness. She was one of the founding members of the National Race for the Cure and has worked closely with the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Since 1982, the organization has raised over $2 billion for breast cancer research. Carter has helped bring attention to early detection and treatment, especially for underserved communities. She knows this fight isn't just about raising money, it's about saving lives. She has supported programs that ensure women, no matter their financial situation, have access to screenings and treatment. Because of efforts like these, survival rates for localized breast cancer have risen to 98% in the U.S. She has also spoken about the importance of family support during health crises, reminding people that no one should have to go through it alone. Carter has never been afraid to take a stand in politics. She has openly supported Democratic candidates like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. When Biden stepped aside in 2024, she backed Kamala Harris, praising her work on reproductive rights and climate change. But one of her boldest political moments came in Arizona's 2024 legislative race. She endorsed 2 Democratic candidates, Kelly Butler and Karen Gresham, over her own sister, Pamela Carter. Unlike Linda, Pamela opposed same-sex marriage and abortion rights. Linda didn't stay silent. She spoke out against her sister's views and made it clear that equality mattered more than family ties. It made headlines, but she didn't back down. She has also been one of the strongest celebrity voices in support of trans rights. She has repeatedly spoken against laws that target transgender people. She has reminded people that real threats to women's rights come from court rulings, like the overturning of Roe v. Wade, not from trans women. She has called out discrimination and used her platform to amplify the voices of those who are often ignored. Linda Carter was the face of Wonder Woman, a symbol of strength and confidence. But behind the glamour, she was fighting a battle no one could see. In her mid-20s, alcohol slowly became a part of her life. It wasn't an instant downfall. It crept in over time, starting as a way to cope with emotional struggles. She later described it as an abyss, something that pulled her in before she even realized how deep she had gone. At the time, she was married to talent agent Ron Samuels. Their marriage lasted from 1977 to 1982, but it was far from happy. Carter later admitted that the relationship added to her drinking. She could stop for short periods, like during her pregnancy, but the problem never really went away. Each time she quit, she found herself going back. It was a cycle of denial, shame, and regret. Her career struggles made things worse. After Wonder Woman ended in 1979, 1979, she faced typecasting. Offers became scarce. The industry that had once celebrated her now saw her as just one character. That sense of being stuck fueled her drinking. By the early 1980s, alcohol was no longer just a bad habit. It was isolating her from the people who cared about her most. For years, she managed to hide it. She convinced herself she had control. But by 1997, everything changed. Her second husband, Robert Altman, saw what was happening and refused to look the other way. He urged her to get help. This time, she listened. She checked into a rehabilitation center in Maryland, knowing this was her last chance to turn things around. Rehab was a painful process. Carter had always seen herself as strong, someone who could push through anything, but addiction wasn't something she could fight alone. She had to unlearn the idea that willpower was enough. Therapy helped her understand the deeper reasons behind her drinking. Support groups showed her that she wasn't alone. Little by little, she started to heal. Through it all, Altman stood by her. Their marriage had already survived its share of challenges, including his legal battles in the early 1990s, but he never gave up on her. She often called him her knight in shining armor because he didn't just encourage her to get help. He stayed by her side through every step of recovery. They remained together until his passing in 2021, and even now, she honors his memory by continuing to speak about addiction and recovery. Carter first shared her struggles publicly in 2008 during an interview with People magazine. It was a bold step, not just for her, but for everyone who had ever felt ashamed of their addiction. She wanted people to know that recovery was possible. Since then, she has spoken at major events about addiction, including the Council on Recovery's Wagoners Foundation Speaker Series. She uses her story to help others find hope. Linda Carter became a household name as Wonder Woman in the 1970s, but her time in Hollywood was far from the glamorous life people imagined. She later revealed the darker side of the industry, speaking openly about the harassment she endured. In 2018, she shared that a powerful man had targeted her, someone who had victimized multiple women. She never named him, but she didn't have to. By then, he was already facing the consequences of the hashtag #MeToo movement. She had considered taking legal action, but found no real options. In the end, she felt like just another woman whose pain had been ignored. For years, she and other actresses warned each other in secret. Speaking out could ruin a career. The industry protected powerful men, not the women they hurt. "Who are you going to tell? No one's going to believe you," she said. Even though she played a hero on screen, she often felt powerless in real life. But some of the worst moments of her career didn't just involve secret abuse. One of them happened right on the set of Wonder Woman. A cameraman had drilled a hole in the wall of her dressing room. His goal was to spy on her as she changed. She only found out when studio executives called her in. The man had been caught, fired, and banned from the industry. But that didn't erase what had happened. She felt exposed and violated. Decades later, when she finally told her story, it wasn't just about what had happened to her. It was about the larger system that allowed it. By breaking her silence, she reinforced what Wonder Woman had always stood for, fighting back, even when the odds seemed impossible.